don't know why you're so tetchy today.
I'm not tetchy. I'm just a bit nervy. I'm starting to feel a bit itchy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a bit scratchy already.
Excited about the news?
Yeah. So just get me on.
Funny that you come out in Gerry Anderson news
Hives.
hives, isn't it? And it's very bizarre.
The Gerry Anderson Podcast with Jamie Anderson, Richard James and Chris Dale.
Hello.
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 Hi.
It's been a very busy few weeks, hasn't it?
Oh, we haven't stopped, have we?
Thunderbirds Day.
Yeah,
Terrahawks 40th
10-10,
anniversary.
Terrahawks Day,
the
yeah.
release of Candy and Angie and the Bear Anders.
Lovely. Enjoyed that very
There's
much.
Just so much stuff going on.
So much stuff going on.
Oh, Thunderbirds Danger and Deception, obviously.
Yes.
Audio drama.
Yes.
The Tracy Brothers portraits.
Yeah.
The Terrahawks beer.
What?
And the comic anthology.
It's
and,
extraordinary, isn't it?
yeah, and there's more to come.
Is
because
there?
There's always stuff going on in the worlds of Gerry Anderson. That's not the phrase
I've
we used
got
to use.
to nail
I've
that
forgotten.
quote. What is
Yeah.
it?
I can't remember.
Anyway, I suppose you ought to explain what we're doing here.
We're sitting here trying to remember what we say about the Gerry Anderson news.
Yes, that's right.
Which is part of
the Gerry Anderson podcast.
Podcast,
That's
and
right.
we're hosting that.
That's right. And
now.
you are?
I'm Jamie Anderson.
That's right. There's your name at the bottom of the screen there.
Very nicely done. Who are you?
I'm Richard James.
Very nice. And also,
Yes.
the man with the catchiest catchphrase, which I believe is "Hi guys."
Oh, yes.
Just over there, it's Chris Dale.
Hi guys.
There he is.
Hi, Chris.
Nailed it.
Said his catchphrase
I'm
as well.
going to get that on a T-shirt.
Yeah, I think nice picture of Chris mid-wave.
Hi, guys.
Hi guys.
It's great, isn't it?
That's amazing.
Now,
Love it.
Chris is talking about so much going on. He's been the busiest of all of us recently.
He's actually done all the work
Yes, he's actually got off his backside, off Jeff Tracy's sofa, and put some work in.
and moved to another seat. Well done, Chris.
Yeah, so aside from the randomiser, which we all know you love, which will be coming later on in the podcast, he'll also be presenting the second part of his interview with John Lee, visual effects designer from Terrahawks, Moon, the Harry Potter series, a bit of Mission Impossible, a bit of Star Wars,
He's done loads of stuff, that bloke.
all sorts of stuff.
Very nice man as well.
So I hear. I didn't get to meet him, though, because obviously I didn't do the interview.
No, of course.
But, so I'll just take your word for that. But anyway, John Lee joining us a little later on around the table with Chris Dale. We've also got FAB Facts coming out very shortly. I'm going to skate over that really quickly because then we'll have the Gerry Anderson news. And then we'll have some emails from our podsterons. And I'll be reading out some comments from our YouTube channel.
You've remembered literally everything that happens
I
on this
think I have,
podcast,
yes.
Which is amazing, given we've already done this 278 times before.
Yeah, should we do it at 279th time?
Well, why not? For
Come
old
on,
time's sake.
while we're here.
Good.
So I think it's time you picked up your book and did something with it.
My fabulous tome
Yes, go
of
on.
Fab Facts.
Just get on with it.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Good, here comes a Fab Fact.
Now, time for this week's Fab Facts.
It's Fab Facts. I've got a book of Fab Facts
Oh,
right
yes.
here. It's just packed from cover to cover with Fab Facts.
Yeah, it's luckily.
And I have no doubt that today's fact will also be fab, because they always are.
Always.
It's the most incredible facts
Yeah,
from
yeah.
around the Gerry Anderson universe.
Yeah.
So I flick through the pages,
Yeah.
which shouts fab at a random point, and it
Yeah.
always is very random. And that then lands us upon, hopefully, maybe one of the fabbest facts ever. Who knows? It could be.
Imagine that.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Does that mean we would stop then doing the Fab Facts section?
No,
because
no,
we've reached...
no.
Oh.
Because if you reach a peak, then you've got to then come down the other side.
Right, I think we
So
did that long ago.
At best, we're halfway through, or at worst, depending on your point of view. Anyway, look, I'm going to start flicking. Are you ready to say fab?
Oh, yes, I think so.
Okay, here we go.
Fab.
Very nice.
What?
No, it's
Yeah,
a
good.
It's a good one.
Oh, is it?
Well,
How do you know?
I
'Cause-
mean,
Yes.
because I can see the theme of the Fab Fact. You see, and it's very timely.
Right.
It's very sort of zeitgeisty.
Is it?
Yeah, I believe so. Well, see what
Okay.
you think.
Yeah, I will.
Over the past few months, Richard and Podsterons, we've all become used to hearing the phrase AI
Oh, yes.
or artificial intelligence.
We have, yeah. All over
Not,
the place.
not artificial insemination, as I mistakenly said on a recent podcast for, I think, Scarred for Life, which was a bit awkward.
Yes, definitely
anyway,
not that.
if you are on social media, and I bet you are, I bet you are too, you will almost certainly have seen examples of AI-produced music, art, and even literature.
Yes.
Many Podsterons have started using it to make new pictures of their favourite Gerry Anderson characters and posting them to our to our Facebook group.
Yes, that's true.
You might have started to use it in the workplace to help with presentations or pitches or
Yeah.
helping to visualise ideas. I mean, I know we certainly have. It's been amazing. You may even have seen some examples of AI without even noticing it.
Right, yes, possibly.
This is the big reveal where we say that Richard James is in fact an AI
Artificially
construct.
unintelligent. Yeah.
Perhaps the most striking use of AI in the Gerry Anderson world recently has been the implementation of AI deepfake, which you'll remember,
yes.
to bring Dad back in order to tell his story in his own words
Yep.
in last year's Gerry Anderson Life Uncharted.
Indeed.
Available on DVD and Blu-ray from the Gerry Anderson store. And we've often discussed how he would almost certainly have used the technology himself had it been around back in the day. Such was his interest in new technology and storytelling techniques.
Yes, certainly.
But
What? What are you doing that for? What's the matter?
did you know that AI has already been used in an Anderson Entertainment production?
AI?
Yeah.
Has it?
AI. It's already been used.
Has it?
Did you know that?
Yes, I did.
No, I think obviously you
Oh, I
did.
knew.
But, it's not one you would have seen on TV or at the cinema, but one you might have already seen online.
Right.
Yes, if you're a viewer of the new video version of the Gerry Anderson podcast, then you will have already fallen victim, that's a bit harsh, to the machinations of artificial intelligence.
Really?
Yeah. So, Podsterons, cast your mind back to Pod 269. when
Yes.
Dear Richard Hubble Oren James
Yes.
joined Chris Randomiser Dale on the Randomiser sofa to watch an episode of Space Precinct,
Predator and Prey. Remember it well.
Well, imagine editor Charlotte Serple's dismay
Right.
when she realised that, looking back over the footage, there was no room in the frame to insert the picture of the episode they were watching.
Ah.
So what could be done?
Yes.
Well, luckily, AI came to the rescue.
Ah.
Moving the picture down in the frame, AI was asked to generate an expanded background, thus leaving room for the episode to play out for Richard and Chris to watch. If you look very carefully, you might just see the join, proving that as yet AI isn't quite perfect. Whereas, who wrote this? Whereas Richard and Chris are.
Ah, yeah, well, that's true. Yes. Wasn't our fault.
Well, that was a great fab fact until that bit. So, yeah, so did you spot it, Podsterons? And how do you
yes.
feel about that? How do you feel about that? Do you feel duped?
Duped? I mean, it was an attempt to sort of assist the viewing experience.
Absolutely, we were doing it for the best possible reasons.
But interesting, you mentioned that you've already been using AI in terms of visualizing potential projects and can you give us a bit more detail on what that?
Not really, no. But I think things like Mid-Journey and Stable Diffusion, the kind of the generative image generators.
Yes.
They're amazing tools.
Yeah.
And people are kind of worried about them taking people's jobs, but we are using them currently in places where we just wouldn't have the funds available to do that anyway in the first place.
Yeah.
And then it's helping things move further along quicker. So they are amazing tools. I can see why people are concerned.
Now, I've seen various AI-generated bits of film footage on Twitter and so on, where they've got people dancing at a party and they sort of got strange hands coming out of their mouths.
Yeah.
Elongated chins.
Generative video is not there yet.
Yes. But, give it a few years, it will be. Well,
Give
maybe
it
in a few months.
Yeah, it's not going to be that long.
Terrifying.
They're doing amazing things already.
So do you think the time will come where I could sit down every week and just ask some AI generator to produce two people sitting at a table talking about Gerry Anderson and linking to various items?
Well, do you remember many pods ago when ChatGPT first arrived?
Oh, yes.
We had it write a script and we basically read it out. And it was not a million miles away, but we can also now clone voices. So, yeah, it's totally... Who's to say that this isn't an AI-generated podcast right now?
Yeah, but if it were, surely there'd be some sort of glitch that there would probably be a bit of a giveaway, wouldn't it?
I would think that might be evident, yes.
Yeah.
So keep your eyes peeled, Podsterons.
Yeah, giveaway. So, yes, I like that. I see what you mean about Fab Facts peaking.
Yeah, it's quite
I think
exciting.
that happened some time ago.
Oh, yeah, you're quite right anyway. Okay, fine. Well, that brings us rather rudely to the end of this week's...
Fake fact! Well,
AI fact? Fake?
yeah, but it's kind of deep fake.
Okay, well, yes, yeah. Blew it again.
Yeah.
Never mind.
I mean, you mentioned there that AI making stories and generating content.
Yeah.
Now, and I've been alluding to this a little bit over the past few weeks,
Yes.
have been writing something.
You have.
And just for fun, even though I had almost completed it, I thought, I'll ask, I think it was Google Bard,
Yeah.
to write something in this style featuring this sort of character, okay? And I kid you not, the result was almost beat for beat what I had just been writing.
Really?
I mean, obviously there are differences, but just in terms of the peaks and troughs of the narrative and the structure and the sort of world that involved, it was all there.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, so I threw away what I'd written and just copied and pasted
Absolutely,
that.
yeah.
There you go, done it.
Yeah, perfect.
Easy.
I look forward to reading it.
Now, a little later on, it's a very Chris Dale heavy episode again, because not only will he be joining us for the randomizer later on, he'll also be joining us for the second part of his interview with John Lee to celebrate, or continuing to celebrate, all things Terrahawks.
Quite right, too.
Yeah, we'll be hearing from the Podsterons as well. But until then...
Oh, you've got that nasty itch again.
Yeah, come on.
Okay. Yeah, that's apparently the rather irritating Gerry Anderson news.
Oh.
Hello and welcome, Ander fans. It's Jamie here again with another round of exciting updates from the Gerry Anderson universe. So let's dive straight in, shall we? First off, for those who might have missed it, our Terrahawks livestream is available for a rerun on our YouTube channel. But here's the big news. We announced the production of a final Terrahawks episode on audio. That's called Destiny Unknown. This special release will provide a proper conclusion to the series, officially making Terrahawks the longest running Anderson series in terms of episode count. You will not want to miss it. Great news for Space 1999 fans. Aftershock and Awe, the graphic novel that retells the breakaway story from a fresh, Earthbound perspective, is now in stock. Prepare to uncover the secrets and see the original series in a whole new light. You can secure your copy today from the Gerry Anderson store. Our limited edition Thunderbirds Day t-shirt, adorned with artwork from the Super Space Theatre releases, is now in stock and shipping out. With only 300 available worldwide, time is ticking to get your hands on this unique piece of memorabilia. Stay tuned. Later this week, we've got some tantalising teasers coming your way about an upcoming Blu-ray release. Keep those speculation hats firmly on. Do you need a 2024 calendar? Well, look no further. Our Thunderbirds and Space 1999 calendars are ready to go. Perfect for personal use, gifts, or holiday stocking fillers. Get yours in time to ring in the new year. Remember, our YouTube channel is constantly updated with fantastic Anderson content. Stay connected, stay informed, and of course, most importantly, stay entertained. And a final heads up for collectors. Our limited edition Eagle collectibles are almost ready for takeoff. Interest has absolutely skyrocketed, with more names on the email list than we have Eagles to share. To ensure you don't miss out, sign up and get notified the minute that pre-orders launch. Well, that's all for this week, folks. Keep your spirits high and your passion for the Anderson universe burning bright. Until next time, back to Richard and Jamie in the studio.
That was the news. That was the news. Did it again. Didn't need reminding.
No, beautiful. And I'm sure lots of people will be singing along, or be shocked if they've only just come to the podcast thinking, why is he suddenly singing? Do you think you've got newsmites?
News, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Now I know what it is. I can go to the pharmacy and get something for it.
I think so,
So hopefully
yeah.
next week I'll be all right.
You need to get some frontline spray or something. You've got some for the cat at home, maybe.
Yeah, I do actually.
Yeah,
just use that.
Put some on the back of your neck.
Yeah, all right.
Good.
Thanks, almost scruff. Right, done the news, done Fab Facts. It's time to open the door and just lower the temperature for just a moment as we say hello. What are you doing?
Ugh, shivering preemptively.
Oh, I see. It's the voice of the Podsterons.
This is the voice of the Podsterons.
Dear Jamie, Richard, Chris, and team, says
team
Becca.
now.
Yep. I hope you're all doing well.
Very, thanks.
Yeah. I just thought I'd drop a line to say how much I'm enjoying the new podcast format.
Everybody's saying that.
It's good though,
You're
isn't it?
only selecting the nice ones.
Even
aren't
though
you? Oh,
it has been running for a short while now.
Oh.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay.
I think she wrote this a few weeks ago. I still mainly listen to the show, but I do watch via YouTube when I can. Admittedly, here are some things I miss.
Oh, okay.
You're listening to an Anderson Entertainment production, now re-recorded by Richard.
So they're missing Robbie Stevens, basically.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
okay,
fair enough.
you're playing
But
second
also,
fiddle.
I think we changed that because we're not just listening anymore.
Yeah. You're enjoying an Anderson.
You've just enjoyed.
Yeah, it's perfect.
The Space 1999 style This Episode intro.
Well, it was a Thunderbirds / Space 9, but we,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
why did we drop that?
Well, we dropped that because we had the intro and then we started the podcast by immediately recapping all the things we were about to do, which we'd just done in the intro.
Right.
So it's like we were having a double intro.
Yeah.
Also, it's important to get in, isn't it? Get straight into the podcast.
Yes.
She misses at the end credits the Stage 1 complete Stingray soundbite.
Oh, didn't realise we'd moved that.
Mark Silk's bit at the end. You've been listening to the Gerry Anderson podcast. Wasn't it fun? Yes, Mark, it was, says Becca. She misses that.
No, I can't say that.
But she can still say it.
Yeah.
However, she now includes a list of things that she loves.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. The podcast is now filmed in video colour, super slow moxification. Fantastic that we can now see all our beloved hosts and their guests in the same studio.
Isn't it great?
Great to finally see Chris comment alongside the randomiser and see the episode as he comments over it. And that Chris is finally mentioned in the opening credits.
Yes.
Richard's This Is Your Lifestyle introductions for his guests.
Oh, they're very good. He's very good, isn't he?
Yeah, it's very good. The incredible new opening visuals, exciting and gripping, worthy of an Anderson opening credit sequence itself, and much more besides.
Well done, Chris Thompson there.
Sorry for the long email. Believe me, Becca, it's not as long as some. I just thought I'd chime in with my thoughts. I also really enjoyed that fascinating interview with Aisha Bruff. She was wonderful. Thanks again to you all and to the Potter's Arms for being so fab. Sadly, my grandma recently passed away unexpectedly. She was a big part of my family, so all the support from the Potters and listeners to the show has really helped. I am grateful. Many thanks, FAB, SIG, PWR, 1010, Becca Andrews.
Well, sorry to hear your news, Becca, but isn't that
Yes.
lovely that the supportive Podsteron community is there, whether
Yeah.
it's to celebrate something Anderson
Or commiserate.
to commiserate on something personal. It's
Absolutely
great.
right. That's why they're there. Yep.
Alex in Suffolk
Yes.
says,
Yes.
hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Great.
Talking Pictures TV's recent repeats of Fireball XL5, my favourite Super Mario Nation series, soon had me reaching for my DVD box sets of various Anderson shows for a bit of a nostalgia trip. A bit of Googling later, and I discovered your podcast too.
I see. That's how it happens.
Yeah, so thank you, Talking Pictures, for that.
Yeah.
I just wondered if there's an official in-universe chronology for the Anderson shows, please. I found a fan-made one online, but it has Thunderbirds and Captain Scarlet decades apart, that old chestnut, when I thought they were meant to be fairly close together. Thanks, hope you can help. And that's Alex in Suffolk. Alex, well, welcome, new listener, / consumer enjoyer. Consumer's a horrible word, isn't it?
It is. Very
New
corporate.
podcast enjoyer.
Welcome, new client.
Yes, welcome, Podsteron.
Yeah,
new
there we are.
client.
Yeah.
Goodness me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's the Thunderbirds 2026 versus 2065 thing. I think
Yes.
we'll lean on the 2065 because it's easier. And then basically, after Supercar, everything was 100 years in the future, except for Joe 90, which was sort of 2012-ish.
Oh, yeah?
I think, something
Right.
around there.
Yeah.
And then obviously Space 1999.
Yeah, or as in
that's
what?
self-evident.
When was that?
I can't believe you're just being funny.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was set in 1975. No, it's 1999. UFO, 1980.
Yes,
There you go.
yes.
Terrahawks, 2020.
Yes.
I mean, are these helping? I hope
yes.
so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So is that some chronology for
Yeah,
you?
there's certainly some chronology. Yeah, that's great. Hi, Jamie and Richard. Jake here. I just wanted to let you know that I'm adoring the new video podcast format.
That's the highest compliment we've received so far. Adoration.
Absolutely. It makes the podcast even more fun.
Oh, thanks, Jake.
A couple of months ago, the Podsterons were talking about Gerry Anderson's show's influences on Japanese franchises.
Not this again.
That hoary old chestnut. Not Jake, I'm talking about.
Careful.
I've suddenly remembered a possible example. That is in the animation short Star Fox Zero, The Battle Begins. There's a scene in which the Star Fox team enter the fighters via chutes, which was extremely reminiscent of the Thunderbird 2 and UFO Interceptor launch sequences. I was already aware of Gerry Anderson's influence on the Star Fox video games, as mentioned previously.
Yes.
But this may make the connection between the two stronger. Anyway, keep up the good work, and I can't wait to see what you put out next. And that's from Jake F. Grave.
Great surname.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Why didn't we have a launch sequence in Space Precinct? Why didn't we go down a chute or down a
don't
pole
know.
or be turned upside down and,
Yeah.
you know?
You know, well, I mean, it's slightly weird layout in the station house, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Basically, it'd be you going up the stairs to get to the
Not quite so
bays.
exciting.
Yeah. Romex stopping for a break.
Fag break on the third
Puff
landing.
on his e-cigarette.
That's right.
Yeah, it wouldn't quite have been the same.
No,
would
no,
it? So-
no, fair enough.
But yeah, I'm sad for you that there wasn't one.
Yeah.
I've got a long one.
I know.
Yeah, Mark Perkins has sent one in.
Yeah.
Greetings, podcats.
Greetings, Mark.
Greetings, Mark Perkins. Thank you both for a very meta experience.
Right. What was that then?
He's going to detail it, I think. You
Good.
recently read out my email,
Yep.
which I listened to on my headphones when I was out for a run. But the email you read out was about the issues I have when I listen to you reading out emails when I'm out for a run.
Okay.
I'm confused. That's what he says.
Yes.
Yeah, me too, Mark.
Yeah.
But not too confused, as I do remember that there was one very specific time when, contrary to what you said,
Who?
us,
Right.
Gerry was very proud of what he'd achieved. Okay, this is about
Yes.
being proud of achievements, obviously.
Yes, obviously.
It was with what turned out to be his final show, New Captain Scarlet, in 2005. And I can even give you a quote.
Oh, good. Great.
There was no arms crossed like emoji there, but I could feel it coming through. In his foreword to Chris Bentley's excellent book, The Complete Gerry Anderson Episode Guide, Gerry wrote, "I very rarely say this about my own productions, but I am immensely proud of the work that has been done on the new Captain Scarlet series." That does sound like a thing that he would say.
Yes.
Ironically, it makes me very sad to realise that he was finally proud of something that he'd made. And as we know, it was heading for such disappointment when ITV made a hash of showing it in terms of the distribution and Ministry of Maintenance.
Yes.
Let's not go into that.
That's right.
Anyway, keep up the great podding. I love being able to watch the more visual aspects of the podcast on YouTube. You have remained my #1 podcast for the last 5 years or so.
Wow.
And as I never tire of saying, Gerry might never understand why us Podsterons are so obsessed with his oeuvre, but I'm certain he would have been proud of the caring and supportive community that you have created. Regards, Mark Perkins. Isn't that
Lovely.
nice?
Yeah.
Yes, I think so. I think so too.
Yeah,
Definitely
great.
wouldn't have understood it all. Would have
No.
thought we're all weird sitting here every week for a
Yes.
podcast from the Moxie and Slough.
Yes, I remember talking to you about this before, and you said, yes, he certainly wouldn't want to have been involved, but he would have liked to have maybe had a little drop-in segment, a kind of an Ask Gerry
Exactly.
segment.
Yes, he would have been on the sofa, probably with Chris Dale.
Probably, yes. Talking of Chris Dale,
Yes, are we doing that now?
Well, we've had enough of our... I say no, we haven't had enough of our Podsterons. Could never have enough of our Podsterons.
No.
But we've reached the end of that segment.
That's
what I
correct.
mean. Which means we now move on to the next segment because that's how the podcast works. And that's how linear time works.
Is it?
One thing is over and a new thing begins.
I had always wondered how
and
that
soon
worked.
that will be over too.
Thank goodness you've illustrated it for me. You're like a physics professor these days,
I
aren't you?
really am, aren't I?
Move over Brian Cox.
Yeah. It's time for Chris Dale to welcome in his guest for the second time, John Lee.
If you recently celebrated Terrahawks' 40th anniversary, then you have this man to thank. As well as his work on Terrahawks, he helped make Tom Cruise's missions possible, and even took a couple of trips into the Star Wars universe. There's barely a film he hasn't worked on. It's John Lee. So, John, welcome back. You've returned for more after the chaotic end to the first half of your interview. Let's go back to Terrahawks again. Talk me through like an average day in the Terrahawks model department, if indeed there was such a thing.
Wow. So we're going back a long way, going back 40 years, well, 41 years actually. So the average day would have been arriving, probably, we started work probably about 8:30, quite late in modern times. We now would start perhaps slightly earlier. We'd have a bit of breakfast, start work in the workshop. We would either have a chat with Nick Finlayson, who was the head of department. He would tell us what we were doing, or we would be carrying on with what we were doing the day before. We'd always have a kind of idea of when that work had to be finished. The workshop was a fun place. It was noisy. It was sort of loud, even though there weren't many of us in there. And there'd be people popping in every so often, people from the effects stage, Gary Tompkins running down with another drawing or another set of scripts. We all were given scripts in those days, unlike on some of the movies I've worked on recently. You never see a script. So we'd get the script, and then straight away I would just start reading through the script and looking for the special effects sequences to see what was coming up, because the scripts usually arrived maybe 4 or 5 weeks before we were actually shooting, so not long. So I'd often have 2 or 3 jobs on the go at the same time, something that was maybe needed very quickly, something that was a project for a week's time, and then a long-term project that might be a month away perhaps. We'd have lunch in the canteen. There was a lovely sort of Bray Studios canteen full of wholesome food and puddings. And we'd finish, what time did we finish? Technically around about 5:30, I believe. But most of us stayed around in the bar, or we'd stay around in the workshop, finishing a few things off. I don't recommend that these days, but we did that. We were young and we were enthusiastic. We'd stay in the bar and then the workshop, because it was warm. It was warmer than, going back to a sort of accommodation.
That makes all the difference, yeah. I've got some scripts from Terrahawks, and a couple of them are marked model departments or similar.
Yeah.
So were there any sort of, we hear the story for the Super Mario Nation show, sometimes there was rivalry between the puppet people and the effects people. Was there anything like that at Bray on Terrahawks?
Not that I recall. I think we were all really excited because Terrahawks was the first of a new generation of series since Space 1999. And it wasn't that long after Space 99 had finished shooting. So we were very aware, I was, that this could be the start of something quite long-term. So there was great friendships made. Most of us were quite young. There was a splattering of more mature people on the team. They were only in their 40s perhaps at the time, but... No, I wasn't aware of that. There was lots of crossover between, I remember people like Des Saunders coming into the workshop. He was directing Close Call, I think, and he was shooting a cockpit from the Overlander and came to the workshop. He needed to know where that cockpit was on the miniature because he'd got no sense of that. So we were showing him that. That was exciting to be talking to Des Saunders. He directed some of the best episodes of some of the earlier shows. And the same with Alan Patillo. So the people were walking in and out of the workshop all the time. It was very exciting. Ian Scoons was there as well. It was fun.
Well, speaking of early days, we're now going to play a clip, one of your favourite Anderson scenes or characters. And I think this can be classed as a character. You alluded to it last time. It's a large yellow vehicle with giant claws. Let's take a look at this.
It's in the village.
Right. Get the heck out of there. If that processing plant gets jammed with bricks and mortar, they'll hear the bang 100 miles away. So beat it.
I'll get over to the dam site and see what I can do there.
Well, exciting stuff there, dramatic stuff there from the episode Path of Destruction. I gather the Crablogger is one of your favourite vehicles from Thunderbirds?
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's just so exciting, isn't it? It's so big. It's got Caterpillar tracks. It pushes things over, cuts trees down. It's just such a nice miniature.
And it just keeps going past the camera just when you think you've got to the end. Oh, no, there's another whole bit stuck on the back. But that brings us to something that I believe was perhaps an issue with early episodes of Terrahawks. We saw there with the Crablogger that it all looked very dirty and very real. Was it right that there was some concerns in the early days of Terrahawks that the Terrahawks vehicles didn't quite look as real and dirty as they perhaps should have done?
You've done your research, haven't you?
I'm afraid so.
So, yes, there was. So the main craft of Terrahawks, Battlehawk, Hawkwing, Treehawk, etc., they were I had no involvement in those until quite late on. And they were finished and painted to a very high spec. They were beautifully artworked. They were very glossy. They resembled shop window aircraft display models. And they would have photographed really badly on screen. And it was quite worrying at the time. Bandai Toys had been over and photographed them all to make toys. So, there was a commitment to these vehicles. But they just didn't look real. They looked nowhere near as real as the things that we were used to seeing on Space 1999 and Thunderbirds and things. And I think word got back to Gerry at some point that this could be a problem. And myself and Steve Woodcock were called up to his office Steve Begg was there, I think, at the time, and the conversation went along the lines of what can you do to make these look a little bit more realistic. Now, this was a tricky thing to have at the time because, we were quite new to professional model making, but I knew exactly what needed to be done. But it meant retrofitting certain parts, and certainly it meant respraying them and dirtying them down with various browns and blacks, putting panel lines on to make them look a bit more believable. They had no scale, so they would have photographed terribly badly. So I think everybody was a little bit worried. So myself and Steve got to re-detail all the main craft. And we had to do it very quickly because, we were some minutes away from shooting. Well, not minutes, but, days away from actually turning over on them. I repainted, dirtied down, and put little bits of letraset and wording just to try and break up the surfaces which had no detail. We couldn't alter the shape in any way. So, I felt, and still do, that they didn't quite match the concept designs that Steve Begg had drawn up initially. There were no recessed panels with engineering and details. There was none of that. And of course, it was too late to put that in. So my feeling is the main craft, we sort of missed out slightly on that. They weren't what they could have been. But that's my opinion, and other people might love them.
It seems like such a simple, almost obvious idea, but it does add so much, all that extra detail. You weren't just involved with designing and building vehicles. There were also several model sets you worked on, interiors and exteriors. I'm thinking of the Zeroid Barracks here. Were you involved with that?
Yes, I was involved in that. So Gus Ramsden did a drawing of the Zeroid Barracks very early on, and it was a complex miniature. It was around sort of 8 feet by 4 feet, and it was built on a gimbal so that we could shoot live action, all the Zeroids rolling in and out of their various channels. It was a very complicated thing, strange, unusual angles. So it would have taken a few weeks to build that. But nevertheless, something that I'd not really done much of before, following other people's designs as such. The Zeroid Barracks, I built the Thunderbirds recording studios, which features in a few episodes. And again, that was quite angular. Again, Gus Ramsden, I think, drew that. But that was nice, building something slightly more architectural, because I was keen as a model maker to, fulfill my dreams of making spaceships and, crazy vehicles, but also, widening my skill base and being able to build other things, to have a career as a modeler. So it was always exciting to build other vehicles. The Mars base was another one we talked about last week. And other, the Callisto base from one of the episodes, can't remember the title.
The Spirilla, I think.
Spirilla,
yes,
was
with
it? The one that
rotating dish thingy.
Yes, overhangs the ice planet.
Yeah.
So that was something else we built from plastic containers and kit parts and things. So it was nice to swap and change.
Well, you mentioned Thunderbirds Records there. That's another interesting building because it always seemed to be shot from pretty much the same angle at roughly the same distance, and you didn't get a sense on screen of the detail that I know was in there because there's some behind-the-scenes footage close up on like pot plants outside and markings of reception and signs pointing visitors in all sorts of directions. So again, there's a lot more detail in those some of those vehicles and props than was seen on screen.
Yes, there are, and you've really done your research. Thanks. So when you're working on this kind of work, there is a sketch, and so you know roughly what you're making. But that sketch may not necessarily have those details that you've just talked about, which are really important for the audience to engage with, because it's all about scale. And those things, the signs, the litter bins, the potted plants, I have pictures in my portfolio of those because they're important storytelling elements. And those are the things that make all the shows that we're talking about look real. Those were the things that the model makers did in the 60s and 70s. And without that level of detail, the shots don't work. They look even more modelly, which is why certain episodes, certain shows are less successful because it's the attention to detail that some people forget or are not aware of. You have to put that work in the work. It's also exciting.
Well, there's a sequence I'd like to play now that I believe reinforces the importance of attention to detail in a vehicle that even people who aren't 100% keen on Terrahawks often say, "Cool, that's a gorgeous vehicle." We have a clip here from the episode Thunder Path.
Whoever you are, watch out. Here I come. Fire!
So a superb sequence there from Thunder Path. I gather you were involved with that sequence as well?
Yes, so I was one of the model makers that built the Overlander. Myself and Steve Woodcock built the 3 sections, and Peter Bahana worked on the wheel assembly, again because of Peter's experience with radio control. So essentially 3 of us made that. It was all, we had a rough concept sketch from Steve Begg. It was all carved in Jellytong, which is a pattern maker's wood. It was incredibly heavy, and then detailed with various acrylics and plastics, and myself and Steve painted that. It was quite long and had elasticated connecting sections between the 3 units so that the vehicle could move and stretch. The wheels were built on a rubber assembly so that it could hug the terrain and look like the crab logger. Essentially, we were trying to recreate a more modern version of the crab logger. And we were there setting up on set with that. The bridge had been made, I believe, by Nick Finlayson's company. I think it was slightly outsourced. So Nick and Anton designed a way of collapsing that bridge, which was actually quite clever, in that there were 2 metal poles that were pulled apart through the inside of the structure. So it collapsed from the inside out. It was actually quite a clever trick. So there was no way the vehicle could travel over that without it collapsing. And then, it was a little bit disheartening to see that sort of crash to the ground. And it came back to the workshop quite bruised and battle damaged and, blistering of paintwork. It was quite brutal. And we kind of rubbed it down and resprayed bits, and we threw it back on set, and we probably did it 2 or 3 times. But yeah, that was a really exciting shot that we've just seen, and again, testament to the kind of detail and the attention to detail, trying to make it look realistic and trying to give the audience the same kind of feeling that I would have had when I watched Thunderbirds.
Oh, it's pure Anderson, that bit. I mean, you talk about attention to detail. I love the sound design on that as well, particularly the little bits of metal at the end.
I know. Well, we all know the sound effects editing and the sound design, and Barry Gray's music on the earlier Thunderbird shows it's 50% of what you're seeing. But sound effects editing plays a big part in Gerry's shows, and I was always really excited about that.
Fantastic stuff. Well, I've spent the week learning how to open our Space 1999 lunchbox containing listener questions. Mainly the trick is don't close the lunchbox. Would you like to dig into some more Podsterons questions? Yes, please.
It's a whole week since we've done this,
yes.
Isn't it? So this question's from Jeff Tilley.
Hello, Jeff.
What movies did you grow up on that were interesting for you, and the model and effects work? I had a real passion for animation when I was very young, so the work of Ray Harryhausen was really high on my kind of barometer. So Jason and the Argonauts, Mighty Joe Young, King Kong, Mysterious Island, all those early Harryhausen movies were really exciting for me to watch, because it was, what we have to remember now in 2023 is this work was at the top of its game. Nobody was doing this before Ray Harryhausen. It was totally unique, and it just sparked something off in me as a young sort of viewer, wanting to know how this was done. And, I'd be hearing stories from my parents and my uncle saying, oh, it's a thing called animation. And, I think, right, how does that work? And just trying to learn about that. So those Harryhausen movies were a big thing in my young life. Movies like Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, all the Irwin Allen TV shows, Land of the Giants, Batman, the original Batman series, and of course all Gerry and Sylvia's work through the 60s. So that's what I was watching, pretty much all the time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great answer. So were you involved with Terrahawks until its bitter end after 39 episodes, or did you leave? And I believe you did leave and ended up working. You did leave. I'm going to tell you your life story rather than you answer.
I have left.
You ended up working with some other former Century 21 effects alumni over at Clearwater Features.
That's right. So I joined in '82, and I think I did about a year there at Bray Studios. I did leave. I wanted to sort of expand my kind of repertoire, as it were. I wanted to learn more about commercial model making. I was sad to leave, but I left and went to work at Clearwater Films in Battersea in South London. So I'd done some research before that, and went for interview, and it was an incredible place to work. Again, quite small scale, but with about 3 or 4 shooting stages and 3 or 4 directors working full time. So Ken Turner and Dave Mitten were the 2 owners of Clearwater, and they're Anderson alumni. Dave Mitten working in the special effects department, and Ken Turner directing. So they were the 2 kind of heads. Dave Lane was one of the producers and directors there, so I met Dave. Obviously, he directed the 2 feature films, Thunderbirds feature films, and many other shows, and other directors. So I was working on animated commercials, mainly, working with a model-making team down there, working on very quick-fire TV commercials, learning lots of new skills, and working in the commercial world, and earning a little bit more money, which was nice at the time.
Makes all the difference, yeah. I don't suppose you remember what your last episode of Terrahawks was, necessarily.
One of the last things that we were shooting, I remember, was the episode, and you'll probably tell me, it was the space shuttle launching from a sort of launch pad. The launch pad was a hodgepodge of various other things that I'd made. And then I made the pod itself. I think that was the last thing we were shooting. So from my memory, but it is 41 years ago.
Operation SAS, which I think is about the 15th or 16th episode produced. Have yourself another question out of our listeners' box there.
Question.
Yes.
Here we go. So this is from Richard Goodburn. What changes to the Thunderbirds 2004 movie vehicle designs would you have liked to have done from the finished product? The Thunderbirds movie comes in for a lot of stick.
It does,
I think,
yes.
Which is interesting. And I actually quite like it. It was an incredible film to work on. Jonathan Frakes was a wonderful director to work with, and he directed some of the model unit things as well. Mm-hmm. So we had an amazing crew on that film. It felt like a big budget film. It didn't feel exactly like Thunderbirds.
No.
And the audience, I think, the fans certainly also thought that. But it does come in for a bit of bad press, but I don't know. I like it. I think what we forget is that sometimes you have to just kind of leave things alone. And if you're going to remake movies and series, you have to either change them completely or copy them exactly. That sort of grey area is a very difficult thing to pull off. But there were some really nice sequences in that film. I worked on an oil rig sequence at the beginning. I think the CGI vehicles were superb. I'm not sure I would have changed the designs, actually. No. I think I'd probably I don't know what I'd have done. I haven't really answered your question, Jeff, if it was Jeff, but I wouldn't have altered the designs.
No.
It was a really exciting thing to work on and helped me in my career at the time because I met a whole bunch of new people and we did other films together after that.
Well, we're now going to play you a scene from the 2004 Thunderbirds movie. Some of our viewers love the film, some of them hate the film, some of them are indifferent. It's, as you say, a very polarising film, but let's take a look at this scene.
Thunderbirds, just a few minutes ago. They should be here any moment now. And here they are!
Thunderbird 2, this is Thunderbird 1. I have visual south column. They're trapped on an inspection platform.
FAB, we'll take it from here. Come on! Come on! Scott, get out of there. That tower's coming down.
Got it.
Thunderbird 1, any damage?
Negative, Dad.
Come on, come on. Swing around. Can't get close enough taking that approach angle.
This approach angle's no good. You're gonna have to swing her around.
Watch for wind shear, Thunderbird 2.
Scotty, I was watching for wind shear when you were still wearing diapers.
Come on, Dad.
Whoa, hold on.
Who needs the diapers now, Dad?
What do they do now?
Probably drop the rescue platform from Thunderbird 2.
Open them up. Here we go. Rescue platform's on its way.
Virgil, how's it going?
It's looking good, Dad.
Well, the classic line, "Who needs the diapers now, Dad?" leads us on to your post-Terrahawks career, which of course includes the Thunderbirds movie. And you have fond memories of that, as you said. What else have you gone on to since Terrahawks, or even since Thunderbirds and Clearwater?
So after Thunderbirds, I think I did AVP, Alien vs. Predator, again with Bill Pearson, and movies like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I worked on 2 Harry Potter movies for CineSite, which was a company down at Shepperton. And CineSite had a huge workshop, big team of people. So I did The Half-Blood Prince and The Order of the Phoenix. I did Thomas the Tank Engine at Shepperton Studios, which was a wonderful gig to get. And other movies, I've done The Martian, which is another Ridley Scott film. Moon, obviously, we talked about that, and some of the recent Star Wars films.
So it still continues to this day?
Yeah.
And do you ever find yourself on the set of, say, the latest Star Wars, whatever, and think, oh, I learnt this trick back on Terrahawks, or oh, there's something that they did in Thunderbirds, and I can use this in what I'm working on at the moment?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think I'm very lucky to be working, very lucky to be able to work, and I'm still excited at the concept of working in the industry. You never stop learning, and you know there are always more clever people in the room than you are. So I'm a firm believer in, if people have got better ideas, those are the ideas that you go with. You don't necessarily go your own route. You have to share that kind of commonality. Yeah, I'm very lucky to be working, and you're always thinking, yes, we've done this before, but slightly different. So the nice thing about working as a modeler, designer, whatever, is that you never make the same thing twice. You make something similar to what you've done before. So you go into your brain and your kind of muscle memory, and you think, well, it's kind of a bit like this, but different. And I find that quite exciting.
Mm. So before we move on to our final game, which will be the end of the interview, our game Cute Mute Recruit, which we'll explain in a moment, I gather you've brought something along with you today, a memento from your Terrahawks days.
I have. Would you like to see it?
I would love to see it. Is it over there and we didn't bring it?
It's over here.
It's down there, is it? Okay,
so
well, you don't have to get up there.
I can stay seated.
What's this?
I won't be wearing this, so I don't know whether the viewers can see that. But
that's lovely.
That is my Terrahawks crew sweatshirt, which was given to us as a gift. I'll turn it round. Mm-hmm. And I will hit the microphone. So, and yes, we all wore those, and I still have it 41 years later. So there you go. That's what I brought along today.
Oh, it's lovely to see that. Do you have any other souvenirs from that time? Or
I have a T-shirt as well, and I have one or two bits and pieces. I've got my scripts, obviously. I've kept those, and call sheets and things like that. So I've kept most of those throughout my career.
Lovely. So we have a game called Cute, Mute and Recruit. We are building our own international rescue organisation, and we ask each of our guests firstly to have a look at the 3 cards that our previous guest picked. You have to decide which of these characters you would, firstly, which you think is cute, which you would mute, and which you would recruit for our international rescue organisation.
Cute, mute, recruit.
Yes, indeed.
Right,
So first up, we have a card that's upside down. If I rotate it, we have this chap. This is a robot from Supercar and later repurposed for Fireball XL5. Cute, mute, or recruit?
Mute.
Mute. We don't want to hear from him. He just wants to destroy things. That's fine. So we have a choice of cute or recruit. We have a minor character from Thunderbirds. It's Scott Tracy. Do you want him on your international rescue force?
We need Scott Tracy.
We need Scott Tracy.
Everyone needs Scott Tracy.
Is this an official, we're recruiting Scott Tracy?
We are definitely recruiting him.
Okay. Well, I've manoeuvred you into a trap here because this last person, by definition, has to be cute.
Cute.
It's the snake from Space Precinct, this reptilian extortionist who had acid for blood. So there you go.
Okay.
You think he is cute. We'll leave that there.
Thank you.
And now it's your turn to make 3 selections for our next guest, or perhaps we should say victim. Pick 3 cards out of there at random.
Oh, at random?
At random,
so
and
I'm
don't
not even
show
allowed
them.
to-
No, I mean, you can
one.
look at them,
I
but
can look at them.
as long as the camera doesn't see.
This is all happening live.
This is very live and very well rehearsed, and this is for our next guest.
Do we know who the next guest is then?
I believe someone does, but I personally I'm not privy to that information.
Okay.
So you now know who they will be faced with in the next episode. Good selection there.
Really good selection.
Good. Okay. Well, we'll look forward to them getting a go on that next time.
Right.
So, if our listeners want to find you online or follow your latest projects, where can they do that?
So they can find me on Twitter, John Lee Rocky Road, I believe. I'm also at the National Film and Television School. So have a look at the website, look up NFTS Model Making, where I run a course teaching young students model making and prop making skills so that they can go into the industry.
Ladies and gentlemen, our thanks to John Lee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done, Chris Dale.
Well done, John Lee.
That's it. What a lovely second part of the interview.
Yes. Well, what do you expect?
Well, perfection. And I got it.
Yeah, absolutely. Expert interviewing from
Yep.
Chris. Expert guesting from John.
Absolutely, yeah. Lovely to have John along. It's always nice to hear from people who were there.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Who worked with Dad and,
Yeah.
were on the shows and then have gone on to do great things.
Oh, absolutely right. Are you suggesting that they didn't do great things with your dad? Gone on to do great things.
Gone on to do other great things.
You didn't specify.
Come
that.
on.
Yeah, talking of great things,
Yes.
I think it's a great thing when our lovely Podsterons comment on our YouTube channel.
I'm not surprised.
Because there's an awful lot on our YouTube channel. Episodes of stuff.
I know.
Primers. Tech Talk.
Beyond Anderson.
Yeah, the new Gerry Anderson mini documentary things.
Yeah. There's so many things.
And the podcast, of course. Beneath Pod 274.
Yes.
The lovely interview with Anton Phillips. I say lovely.
Because you did it.
Yeah.
Funny that.
Eagle Transporter 1999 commented, how interesting Martin Landau didn't like Anton's character name, Bob Mathias, because that was the name of a famous Olympian. Apparently Martin tried to change it, but with no success. Fantastic interview, so revealing. Thanks so much.
Well done, Richard and Anton.
Yeah. Which prompted me to search for a little more info on the real Bob Mathias. Robert Bruce Mathias, who was born in 1930 and died in 2006, was an American decathlete, 2-time Olympic gold medalist in the event, a United States Marine Corps officer, actor, and United States congressman representing the state of California for 4 terms from 67 to 75.
I mean,
yeah,
that feels like a whole new segment, doesn't it?
Absolutely right. But, he died in 2006.
Yeah.
So he would have been around for the
Space 1999.
Yeah, maybe it was that Bob Mathias.
He was busy representing the state of California.
No, he'd retired by then
Oh, no,
in
that's when he
1975.
stopped.
So maybe then
he rested on his laurels and watched Space 1999.
No. I'm saying he was on the moon. And the Bob Mathias we see in Space 1999 is the same Bob Mathias.
You're saying it's the same person?
Yes.
Right, sorry.
He had his career. He was in the Marines. He was a congressman. And then he joined NASA.
Yes.
And was seconded to the moon.
Yes, perhaps. I mean,
he would have been 69.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
But I'm just saying.
It's a lovely idea.
Thanks.
Anyway, Steve Bushell commented, get ready for an out-of-Podly experience.
Oh, yes.
How random is the randomizer this week?
Yes, alluding to the fact that there was a Space 1999 episode.
Yeah.
As Anton Phillips was our guest. It happens. Tom Senior says, perfect. My thanks to Anton for saying exactly what I thought about those damn monsters of the week. Series 2 and something didn't feel right. This is not to say that I didn't find anything to enjoy during that time. Bringers of Wonder could have been perfect. And Catherine Schell, yes please. My total respect for Mr. Anton Phillips.
Ours too.
Yeah, quite right.
People have been commenting on a fab fact, which always makes me happy.
I bet they have.
You'll be pleased, though, because it's the one about the Space Precinct episode with no ending.
Oh, yes.
So Graveyard, was it? That became Death Watch Part 1 and 2?
In time, that's right.
Paul Kinnear says, and from that crisis, in inverted commas, came a very enjoyable two-parter with the hastily conceived Death Watch conclusion being especially good. If only we'd got a second season.
If only. Quack Video says, I was fortunate enough to be present for filming of that episode. I'd won a competition to spend a day at Pinewood and Shepperton where the model effects were filmed. A great day. We might have met.
We'd love to hear more of that.
Yes.
Quack Video.
Yes. I wonder, was that the day when we were shooting out on the lot? Because I do remember there were some competition winners around on that day. So Quack Video, let us know. And if it was, I sort of remember that day happening.
Amazing.
Yeah. It's when we were skulking around the secret base. With a big X outside on the helipad.
Yeah.
Thing.
Very revealing.
Yeah.
Mad Max says my sister was on the team at the time working on set design.
What?
Who would that have been?
Set design? No, I don't know. I never talked to any of the techies. Just the actors.
I'm an actor, you know.
Yes. Crikey, it looks like everyone was involved with Space Precinct. Remjet says, did any Gerry Anderson shows ever have an ending?
Well, no, but why would you make an ending for something when you were hoping to do more?
Yeah.
So, no, I don't think so, not really.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's right.
Sort of pseudo-endings, perhaps, but nothing final to say, this is it.
Yeah.
Because then you couldn't make any more. And he was always hoping to make more.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And one Kent says, never got to see Space Precinct. Great.
Right.
Thank you very much for that.
Well, I mean, you could
Fantastic.
remedy that right now, really.
It's a free episode on the Gerry Anderson YouTube channel.
There you go.
One Kent.
There you go.
So-
Which one is it?
I can't remember.
Can't remember. Hope it's a good one.
They're all good.
They are, that's true. That's it. Yes, all for now, but do comment on our YouTube channel. Take a look at anything on there and let us know what you think. And if it's nice, we'll read them out in a couple of weeks' time. Yeah.
Good.
I'm really missing Chris Dale. Since the interview, I felt something's been missing.
Haven't felt the same since he left.
No.
So.
Maybe we should get him back and ask John to...
Maybe John too.
That'd be great.
Oh, yeah.
Both on the randomizer sofa.
Yeah.
Maybe John could press the button.
Oh, that'd be so nice.
Be great if that would happen.
Yeah.
Should we see?
Yeah. Please come back, Chris.
And John.
So John, thank you for joining us for the second part of your very nice interview.
Thank you.
Conducted by me, so I can say that it was very nice. And even more importantly, you're back to press the button again on the randomizer here after your incredible choice last week of Emergency Marineville.
From Stingray.
From Stingray, indeed. What episode have you got for me this week?
Let's
press
see.
the button.
Here we go.
Let's see.
And it's Fireball XL5.
Not only is it Fireball XL5, it's actually the very first episode of Fireball XL5 I ever saw, Space Pirates. So it's a deeply nostalgic one for me, as indeed this whole thing is. John, thank you ever so much for coming in and doing the interview. And
it's a pleasure.
And now you can go.
And
you
I'm
are
very
free.
happy for you.
Me too. Now I've got to watch the thing. That's a familiar piece of music from Thunderbirds and Stingray, I think, and it, as far as I know, that's where it comes from. More lovely music here as we open, yes, the very first Fireball XL5 episode that I ever saw. This was on, I've mentioned it a million times before, my first exposure to the series was Volume 4 of Fireball XL5 on VHS, which I got for Christmas one year, and this was the first episode on the tape, so...
I understand, Commander. We all know you wouldn't miss bingo night for anything.
I always thought she said dingo night as a kid. I never knew what bingo was at that age.
Darling, are you coming? We'll be late.
Right away, my love.
And I believe that was before they had a puppet for Eleanor. I don't remember her turning up before that. But yes, this was such a thrill to watch for the very first time, and I'm very happy to see it come up again today.
The book is old-timey, huh?
And speaking of old-timey, we had a supercar book on the shelf.
And pirates? Yeah, but it all takes place on Earth. I like space adventures. Wish there were pirates in space.
So Venus is babysitting everyone's favourite character, Jonathan Zero, who's being a bit of a brat because she bought him a book. He's not appreciating it.
I'll do my best. Way out in space.
So she now has to tell him a story
Say, that's Steve Zodiac's sector.
that incorporates the pirates that he has been reading about in his story.
It is a planet
This is lovely. I mean, I look at this and I think this was the first, aside from Mars in Captain Scarlet, this was my first Anderson alien planet. And I love this setup. This still looks very impressive to me today. I've always loved the robot freighter model, but the railway in the background. Having a sign saying space freighter on the inside wall of the space freighter, as if we don't know we're in a space freighter.
That's the planet Aridon, otherwise known as the desert planet.
Yes, this has been named from the book of Terry Nation planet names. Aridon, the arid planet. Minera, the planet of minerals.
So it is a perfect place for a pirate hideout.
Yes, and of course you never quite know if this is a real story that actually happened to the XL5 crew, or if Venus is managing to weave a rather engaging story on the fly. And just the fact that we have old-time nautical pirates of the skull and crossbone variety in a sci-fi setting.
Forget we're no ordinary pirates. Our prize is the jewel of the universe.
They're going to conquer the Earth. Just the two of them. This plan could take a while. But lovely characters, instantly, recognizable. And the costumes are gorgeous. I just love these two.
Earth will be so short of atomic ore that we'll be able to take her almost single-handedly.
And it sounds like they've been doing very well off screen, except for Steve Zodiac. Oh, there's a bit of a Corporal Jones there with the old cutlass. We had to wheel the map in, Steve. It's very serious.
From Minera have been attacked in the past month. It's not just a question of valuable cargo.
But the radioactive ores we get from the planet Minera are vital to the survival of the Earth. I'm well aware of that, Commander. But things are not desperate.
If things do get desperate, I can get in my spaceship and leave, Commander. I don't see the problem here.
Pirates won't be able to tell it from a freighter until it's too late. Meanwhile, Venus and Matic are working on a substitute for the ore.
The Professor and I think we should come up with an answer very soon.
But yes, I remember getting that tape for Christmas, and this is the last you'll hear of it because we've covered all the other episodes on the tape now, I think. I asked for it because the Thunderbirds comic had started running XL5 strips, which XL5 at that time was not being shown on BBC, and indeed would not return to British television until earlier this year. Thank you, Talking Pictures. So it was the first time that I got a sense that there was other Anderson stuff beyond what I was being allowed to see on the BBC. That there was this entire show, Fireball XL5. None of my school friends knew anything about this. And then it was, of course, this gradual realization, I think from the trailer that was on the same tape. Oh, Supercar, The Protectors, Space 1999, what's all this? And the Secret Service, of course. Oh dear. So a bit of comedy here with Professor Matic. I believe this does come into play later in the story.
Really, Professor? You ought to know better.
Yes, conjuring tricks and sleight of hand.
I should get up to the control room as quick as you can.
Ooh.
Commander Zero is screaming like a Martian hippo for you.
You were
Martian hippos scream. You heard it here first. And we're coming up on an interesting bit of puppetry that I remember was also employed in, I think, Eastern Eclipse, when you see either El Hudat or Ailey Callie flopping around in the water. Water squirts out of their mouth. We're about to come up on that here as well, because Matt is about to show off another magic trick of his, and well, he hasn't given the warning to those in the front row that they might be about to get wet. Twice, 3 times. And the coloured water is gone. Yes, I caught a bit of this on Talking Pictures when it was shown, repeated actually on there a few weeks ago. I hadn't seen it for ages and I didn't watch the whole thing. Oh, poor Zuni. Here we go. Here's the water spraying shot there. It's a brave attempt, and they would, it's something else they refined for Stingray. But I just love that Talking Pictures have picked this up now. It's great. Anywho, what are we looking at?
There you are, Commander.
Oh.
A few final adjustments in the morning and she's ready.
Oh, is this the space freighter?
Like an ordinary freighter.
Exactly.
It's the same model with a different decal, Commander.
Believe me, she packs a mighty punch.
The perfect space Q-ship. Congratulations.
Yes, they're going to try and trap the pirates, I should say. Because somehow, incredibly, these two pirates have managed to plunder quite a lot of ships. I'm sorry, Commander. I'm still apologising for earlier, Commander. I love that rolling stock in the background of the girders and such. And just, you only see that small section of the planet's surface, but it just sells the idea and suggests that so much more is there.
There's no danger.
Uh-oh.
What would any pirate want with me?
Mm-hmm.
All right, John.
Speaking of, there's a pirate in the cabin, Commander.
To be otherwise, Commander. Shall I call him back, Commander?
I love that no one in Space City Control reacts to the sound of a wrench impacting Jock's face. Oh.
Dump him overboard with a pilot.
There's another line I didn't understand as a kid. I thought the line was, don't bimbo aboard with a pirate.
Things are working out very well.
Oh, indeed they are, Captain. Indeed
But
they are.
That's how agreeable he is. But that almost, I suppose that must have been plasticine, something on Jock's face.
We may need that substitute for the radioactive ore yet. Robert and I can manage okay.
Okay,
Anything
so
else you need?
Guess everything's ready, Commander, and I'm raring to go.
it's a very serious matter, all of this ore shortage, because everything's being stolen by the pirates. Ah,
I guess they're going to take ours.
that's a cute little design.
I can hear them running up the motors.
Not as appealing as the space freighter, which is such a simple little design, but I love it. Oh, beautiful little mining colony here. I love it. Again, it may be nostalgia talking, but I don't think so. I think this is a quality episode. Because it's just the disconnect between the futuristic world of XL5 and these very old-fashioned pirates. And it's almost a shame that this isn't real, that this is a story Venus is telling. Because I think the world of XL5 has plenty of room for these two. I really hope that this is something that actually genuinely happened.
You heard the radio conversation, Patch. He'll be out looking for our spaceship.
But we shan't be there, Captain.
No.
Exactly, you old space dog. Zodiac isn't the
Yes, this is the hijacked freighter. And this interior is common. A lot of spaceship interiors in XL5 did this. The bridge, for lack of a better term, was essentially just two consoles in a largely bare room.
And
good things in store for Steve Zodiac there, I suspect.
No sign of space engineer yet.
How much is he overdue now?
His name's
Over
Jack,
4 hours.
Lieutenant.
Any news from Steve, Commander?
No, we're maintaining neutroni radio silence, just in case the pirates should be listening in.
Good thought. Q ship. Again, we have a label on the interior of the ship so that our fearless space adventurers don't forget what ship they're in. I also remember when I first saw this as a kid, the guy who's with Jock here, who I don't think appeared in any other episode, I honestly thought he was an alien. I guess it's a Star Trek thing. I just assumed the World Space Patrol must have alien members among its recruits, because the puppet does look quite strange.
Zodiac calling freighter. Can you hear me, Jock? Jock, are you receiving me? Zodiac to freighter.
And when he gets no answer, he just won't be able to resist the temptation to come over and find out for himself.
I suppose, thinking back, this would be... I think I said last week, Emergency Marineville is like the definitive episode of Stingray. If you really want to introduce someone to Stingray with the best episode, or an episode that's going to hook them, you can't do much better than Emergency Marineville. This is a very strange episode to have been my first exposure to the series. But it never stuck out like that to me. I was instantly on board with this world and these characters. I loved these villains. I think they're great. And of course the music.
There he is now, just leaving the freighter. Here he comes.
Oh, yes. We don't quite have the technology to really do Steve's journey to the freighter justice, but we're going to give it a go. Oh, he's got his braining wrench again. Space freighter. Again, even the outside doors are labelled. He's drawing his gun. Yes. Anything else we can say he's doing? He's walking down the corridor now. He's at the door. Yep. And as Steve walks onto the bridge...
Say, what's going on here?
I love that. It's classic Steve. He's expecting to see a friend, a colleague, and instead, standing on the bridge is someone dressed as an old-time pirate, and he just goes, "Oh, what's going on? What's this about?" Good stuff. Poisoned? We'll die of thirst. We can't live without water. Yes, as Steve was knocked out, his ray gun hit the water supply. So they are now going back to Steve's ship to get water from there. There's a lot of coming and going in this episode. I just noticed something crept into shot there. I'm not sure what that was.
Hey, Captain, it stopped. That's all the water there is.
Why,
Oops.
you blithering idiot. You've opened all the valves.
Ah.
One of them dumps the whole of the water supply into space.
We probably should mark that with some kind of label. Otherwise Venus is just going to get them muddled up.
And where be you going to get more water, Captain?
I've just realised, as I said about this being my introduction to the series, and this is quite an unusual episode to introduce me to Fireball XL5. Where's Fireball XL5? We saw it on the launch ramp at the beginning of the story. I think it might appear again towards the end. But yeah, my first Fireball XL5 episode is one that has very little XL5. And mostly freighters.
Is to adapt these ultra-high compression gas cylinders into a thruster pipe.
All good luck with that. It's nice to see they had more than one freighter model. Robert is, getting out of there. He's either going on or going back. He's going back to Earth, okay. He's on his way home.
You'll never get away with it.
I suppose Steve left him orders to return if he didn't come back. Again, I say I haven't seen this one for a long time, despite having it on VHS and watching it to death.
Sheridan on our starboard bow. Prepare to land.
Back to the pirate planet. It's an interesting design of their little base there.
Spaceship approaching 1680 black, Commander.
That must be Steve.
No, it's going to be Robert.
It is. Look, he's coming into land.
Oh, now we can see clearly because it's landing. It must be Steve. I'm also noticing the little vehicles down there.
Radio message. Sounds like trouble. Let's get over to the launching pad and meet it.
Yeah.
Landing completed. Okay.
I also wonder if there were any other Anderson fans of my era who saw the XL5 comic, comic strips being reprinted in the Thunderbirds comic, and were also inclined to seek the show out. I'm sure to a certain extent that must have been part of the reason it was included in the comic. Also, the fact that they were running out of Thunderbird strips.
They would be left alone.
If we give them water, how do we know?
Pirate Captain has got gorgeous handwriting. I never noticed that before.
I could send out a patrol.
No, Commander. We mustn't do that. They would have their revenge on Steve.
Yes.
Water.
Water.
Not exactly a valuable commodity.
Unless you're a space pirate hiding out on the planet Aridon.
Aridon? The desert planet. Not even a conjurer could produce water there.
Aha, now we bring in the conjuring subplot. Very, very neatly done.
Venus and I will take the water in Fireball.
And then?
Suitably doped.
It should do more than quench their thirst.
Yes, we're coming up on an interesting conclusion to the story here. The hot sun on the planet Aridon.
Thirsty space feller.
Yes.
Easy with a water patch.
Yes, go easy, Patch. It may be your last drink.
Oh, they made the mistake of putting the water right next to Steve's feet.
I'll slit your throat from ear to ear.
Hold on, Patch.
He's also got a pistol. Never noticed that before.
Now we'll see who's the toughest, huh?
Said in the tone of voice where it's a foregone conclusion it's Steve Zodiac. XL5! Finally! Was this 20 minutes into a 25-minute episode? There's the star vehicle. So I did get to see some XL5 on my first time out. Okay.
You know, Professor, I'm still doubtful about this plan of yours.
Well, I'm doubtful about letting you fly the ship, Venus, but I guess we're stuck with it.
We got it right.
Yeah, you don't often see Venus in the pilot's seat. That's quite daring. So it's off to the rescue of Steve. He's being held by the space pirates on planet Aridon. I love that this show shares the same planet naming mentality as Doctor Who. Planets are either named after their defining characteristic or they're just numbered.
How far are we from the desert planet now?
Well, you're the pilot, Venus. I think you ought to know.
We're not far off.
Otherwise, it means you're just flying blind. Well, eventually they'll get there. It doesn't look like Venus has taken her out of first yet. Back on Aridon, the pirates are starting to suffer. And we're going to get now a live-action insert shot, which is, again, quite rare for XL5. And it goes on relatively long. Oh, poor pirates. Poor Patch. You do get the sense of the heat bearing down on them. And now, mirage time. As they see, not water, they see a bottle of rum.
A lovely bottle of grog.
Yes. And it looks to me, it does look like the hand is covered with like a stocking or tights or something, maybe a glove, to give the impression that it's puppet skin, which is interesting. I'm kind of glad they didn't stick with that for Stingray and onwards. But somehow in black and white, that kind of works. Anywho, back to the waiting, the hot sun. Oh, Venus and Matt are here.
Oh, not another mirage. I couldn't stand it.
No, this is for real, Patch. Hiya, Venus.
Oh, it's good to see you, Steve.
Boy, this is just like Death Valley. No tricks.
Well, I suppose so.
Or your Colonel Zodiac will get it. Got the water. He's
It's an obvious joke, but I like the sight of the puppet waving a sword around very close to his strings.
How do I know the water isn't doped? Drink some yourself.
All right.
What would they have done if Matt hadn't been doing his...
Professor, please. Oh, fussy ain't she?
Cut out the wisecracks.
Yes, if the professor hadn't been doing his magic tricks.
There you are. I'm still standing.
Give us the water.
Yeah, I'm not sure testing it on Venus of all people is quite proof that it's not got something wrong with it.
Two lovely noggins of cool water coming up.
Okay. And that's interesting. Having just had a live action insert shot, we now have a close-up on a puppet hand holding two glasses and trying to fill them both from a bottle, and that was done with a puppet hand. That must have been quite difficult.
That's better. Nectar.
Oh, there they go. But why didn't it affect Venus? Well, the answer is obvious.
I drank out of a trick glass.
Hooray for me! Yeah. So, all the loose ends are tied up, bar one. I always love when they take prisoners in XL5. Sometimes they put them in the brig, very often they bring them to the control room.
Hello, Steve. Hold your fire. It's only me, Joe.
Shiver me, space timbers. It's jolly.
Ah, yes. I mean, that kind of gives the impression that sound travels in space, but in XL5 it
He
does.
was very happy to see Jock again.
Aw.
Gee, that was a swell story. Is it true?
I hope
Did
so.
it really happen? Well, Jonathan, I leave you to decide that.
And I'll ponder why you have a handgun next to your bed.
Okay, Venus. It's a deal.
No.
Thanks for the story. Good night. Good night, Jonathan.
I wonder if that's the earliest appearance of the supercar comic up there on the shelf. It might be. And there's some nice music to close out what is a hugely nostalgic episode of XL5 for me. But I don't know if this one rates highly among fans of the series. It was interesting, as I say, this was repeated on Talking Pictures recently. And it was, I'm a member of a Talking Pictures Facebook group, and it was so nice to see people commenting on the show, this episode in particular, and leaving such lovely comments. It was just like, someone posted a picture of the captain, and just with a caption, "Space Pirates, LOL." It's lovely to see that, you know, so many years on, people are still responding to it. So, yeah, I'm very glad to see this one come up today. I was very glad to see it on Talking Pictures a few weeks ago. It is an atypical episode of the series, bordering almost on a dream story, but I say I will never not be in the mood for this one. I hope that's not just nostalgia talking. I hope this is genuinely a good episode. If this is one of your favourites, or even not, do please let us know. Arr!
Fireball XL5. It's so nice to go back to the early days, isn't it?
Yes, and hopefully, I mean, Chris always sings along, doesn't he? But I think that now I'm feeling like we need a little album.
Yes.
Of Chris crooning away to all the songs from the world of Anderson, and maybe making up some of his own lyrics where lyrics don't exist.
As long as they're not rude.
No, they would never be rude. Chris isn't like that.
I did enjoy him singing along to the songs in Four Feather Falls.
Yeah, it was
so
sweet.
Isn't that lovely?
He's almost making up for Fireball XL5 Gate back at Brit Sci-Fi, where he made his unfortunate error.
Yes, almost making up for that, but not quite.
Yeah.
More randomisers next week, when I guess that Chris will be asking our next guest to press the button on the randomiser to produce a random episode of a random Gerry Anderson show and comment on it. Well, the guest won't be commenting on it.
Well,
it might be.
Who knows?
It's happened before.
Yeah. He's getting increasingly random with his randomiser.
And it is always random, except when it's a two-parter. And then it's predictable.
Then it's the predictomizer.
Yeah. Talking of predictability,
yes,
we've come to the end of the podcast, which was always going to happen at this time.
Goodness.
So in a very predictable way, I'm going to say goodbye and see you next week for pod 280, which
is it?
Let's say, I think Chris was saying earlier, is the halfway point of the randomizer.
Amazing.
So shall we have like a little halfway point birthday edition of the Gerry Anderson podcast to mark that very moment? A halfway birthday.
Nothing would make me happier than that.
Really?
Yeah.
Don't get out much, do you?
Not these days.
Bye.
Goodbye.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's get started. Let's go.
Spectrum is green.
So have you got any particular plans for how we celebrate this?
Well, we should just do things by halves, shouldn't we?
Just like half-arsed.
Half a cake, half a hat,
half a randomiser,
half a whistleblower, half a randomiser, half an interview,
half a podcast,
half a FAB Fact.
Oh, half a FAB Fact.
That'd be great. In half the time.
Great.
And should we just make the whole podcast half as long?
Yeah.
In honour of the randomiser.
And sing half of Happy Birthday.
Yeah, yes.
To stop halfway.
Yeah, and maybe there could just be half of us around the table, so only you need to turn up.
Okay.
And I get the week off.
Right. Can't wait. Sounds amazing.
Send your postcard. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Cheers. That was an Anderson Entertainment production.